mine.
Right, so in terms of the 37 years that you've been doing it, how's hair systems changed right from the start to what they are today?
Oh my God, they've gone from house bricks to just wafer thin systems now. They're amazing.
But you see these throwaway systems that literally last a month.
Oh no, I didn't like
on
them. Well, no, they were awful. And the clients didn't want to go through the fitting stage every month.
What's
They
wrong with
hated
the fitting
it.
stage then?
Because they don't like the bounciness that they get from a new fitting. So people we only had a couple of clients, I think, that used them throwaway, what we called them disposable, didn't we?
That's it.
They were that wafer thin, they were great, but they couldn't take a refusion, so we'd have to throw them and put a new one on. And at the time, the clients hated it because they had the new system bounce. But we've learned how to curb that a little bit now.
Good.
Haven't we? But no, they've gone from really thick, really heavy, really false, unnatural hair, really wiry hair, to brilliant quality human hair. Because when I first started, they only had synthetic at that time, 37 years ago. They didn't even have human hair in systems. So I remember the day that we got our first human hair one, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, we've got human hair." We was all feeling it, like, "Oh, look how we've grown."
That's outrageous. That's like Annie remembering the first time she saw a colour telly.
It was honestly. That's how it felt. It's like we were all stroking this human hair because fibre's just like wire, in it.
Yeah.
And we got this human hair and we were like, "Oh wow, oh feel that." We were like, "Can I fit the first one? Can I fit the first one?" I think I did fit the first one. And from then on, we got a load of human hair, and we was like so excited every day. But in hindsight, it was nothing on what the quality is now. It was the very primitive form of human hair. But now it's just
the
amazing.
amount of people that me and Annie get come in and they say to us, "Where does the hair come from?"
Yeah, I know people, clients ask me that.
And the first thing I always say, dead bodies.
Oh, yeah.
And they literally look at us, didn't they? And I go,
well, I don't
just
say
joking.
that.
We're joking. Yeah, exactly. We're joking. So, yeah,
But it's the one client, though, that had to have his DNA done on his hair because he'd done a crime.
So basically,
and they took it off the system, not knowing he'd got one on, and it didn't match up to it.
Basically, they took the hair sample for a DNA check, and when they checked it, they found that he related to a small village in India.
Yes.
and they literally said, and they all sit. I think the CID or something were looking at him like, this doesn't match up, like. So he had to come clean about the fact is he had a hair system.
I know.
And then we had situations where in the past we've been questioned by the police about guys that had their hair done and used it in robberies.
Yeah.
There was many a time that everything changed. But when people go down the route of a hair system, you need to know what you're looking for. You don't go in and have a tattoo, go, right, I want that tattoo.
Yeah.
That's it. You need to know,
do your research.
well, hold on a minute, we just want to have a look at this research and stuff like that. So you need to know, like, a 3 gram, a 2 gram, a 1 gram base if you want to go into a 4 or a 5. What's the difference between a 5 and a 4?
Yeah.
What's the difference between Remy hair and human hair?
Yeah.
What's the difference between virgin hair? What's the best way it can literally be done? There's a million questions that people really need to look at. What type of hair have you got? Have you got a double crown? Have you got a single crown?
Yeah.
What sort of thickness do you want? How long do you want it to last? How much do you want to spend? How much do you know? And a lot of the time people come into this and they go, "Oh, I can buy a hair system for 500 quid. Well, no problem. How long is it going to last?
Yeah, that's the
Because I've got a guy the guy I deal with in America, his best friend, and he's been in this industry for 60, 70 years. He's seen every factory in China, every factory all over the world. He married a girl who actually works or used to work in one of the factories. So because of that, she knows everything to do with human hair and the way the bases are made and the best way to order them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So having that insight into the industry has been invaluable when it comes to what we've been trying to do over the years. So we know everything that people need to know. And you have to look at their lifestyle. You have to look at how long they expect it to last.
Yeah.
And the amount of guys that we've had, come into me and Annie, where they've gone through 7 systems in 12 months.
I know,
and spent 4 or 5 grand
It's ridiculous.
in 12 months with a company. That's just going down the route of people being ripped off. And once you get ripped off once, a lot of these guys are just going to shave their head and fuck it off and then go, no, I'm not going near it again.
Yeah.
Ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. And
Absolutely.
I think people don't realise that at all. I mean, Annie, to be fair, when obviously I was the only one who used to do all the consultations.
I know.
So I had to teach Annie how to do it. And her first consultation lasted for about 4 hours.
I wanted, well, I know. I was
She
just
likes to
trying.
chat.
I think Annie liked to tell them everything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but because we sell fairly. I think because we weren't sold fairly when
Yeah,
we were
true.
going through it, that the biggest thing for us is that we tell
Making
them
sure they know,
everything.
yeah.
But we also care about the person in front of us, so we do want to find out who that person is and what their expectations
Yeah.
are. And that's how, you know, we can get it right for them.
Yeah.
Because if we ask all the questions, then they feel comfortable with us. We also remember them every time they come in. All of these things, it's really important.
I remember one of the consultations, I went to a clinic in London, and I sat there, and obviously had a little cap on, and I was losing my hair. This guy sat there with the biggest head of hair I've ever seen in my life, and he sat there and said to me, "So you're going bald then?" And he might as well have turned around and said, "So you've got a really tiny penis?"
Yeah.
And I literally sat there mortified. He didn't give two shits if I
Yeah.
was going bald at all. But the fact is that now, when we do consultations, you know, when they come into us, they just feel a bit uplifted.
Well, we tell them
we make
everything.
it fun for them, so they
Yeah.
can come in, they can talk about their experience. Well, me and Annie had a guy once. He hadn't looked at his reflection for 7 years.
I know a lot of them.
So
don't.
when you get someone who's at that stage and they're embarrassed and stuff like that, knowing that Annie's gone through it, I've gone through it, you've gone through it, and everyone's so empathetic, is that the right word
Yeah.
to use?
Yes.
We're huge on empathy. When we do interviews for new staff to come in,
Oh God, we all go
the
on
biggest
and
thing
gut feeling.
is you
Yeah.
have to have empathy.
Yeah,
And you have to
definitely.
realise that these people are coming in, they're vulnerable, they're scared, they don't know what the fuck's going on because they're losing their hair, and what they know is someone who's sat there, and every time I show them a picture of me, I go, look, there's me.
Yeah.
You see the
It
shoulders
relaxes
drop.
them.
Yeah.
exactly.
But like Annie said, we sell them more honestly nowadays.
Absolutely.
I remember, do you remember like one of the old companies I worked for? Guys would come in with almost a full head of hair, just a tiny little bit of thinning here, but literally loads of hair. And they would shave all that hair off and stick something on their head. And it wouldn't last 5 minutes because the hair would grow and it just like flunging it all up in the air and it couldn't sit down. Whereas now, I know people have come in and begged you. You've said you've got too much hair, mate. And I remember that one guy said, "But I really want it done." He said, "I can't do it to you."
No.
And he just was begging you, and it's beyond belief, really.
You have to be honest.
But the honesty is what sets, and again, what
Yeah.
sets us apart.
Yeah, I remember when we first started doing it back in 2003. Do you remember, literally, I was so honest. I said, yeah, when you come in, we're going to shave all that hair off and we're going to glue this to your head.
Yeah.
And no one had ever said that before.
No, it never got told in
Consultation
consultation before.
It was all sold as something different.
Yeah.
So when you actually describe it and say, look, this is what we do. We
Yeah.
shave this area off.
The
and we
horror.
glue it on. But at the end of the day, it's going to look like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
that's
at
when
least
go,
they weren't
"Oh,
shocked when they came
exactly,
in. They
that's
knew
it."
what we were going to do.
Yeah.
They weren't asking for Dr. Pete.
I've been called Dr. Pete quite a few
Dr.
times,
Pete
actually.
in the early days.
I know, I got called Dr. Pete. I was like, me a doctor? No.
Why hasn't
no.
Pete got his white coat on? Remember that?
I do, actually,
Oh, that's
yeah. 100%.